Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. This is a big card for me, and the reason it is I'm doing a collaboration with a lovely lady named Gracie Harrold, who has a channel called, I think it's called Gracie Harrold Disneybounding, or it might be just called Disneybounding. I'm sorry, Gracie, I screwed that up. But anyway, Gracie and I talked. Her channel is new, and her mother and I have been friends for a while on YouTube, and when she said Gracie started this channel, I went and checked it out, and it's amazing. What Disneybounding is, I'm going to explain it again. I explained it in another video, but I'm not that good at it. What Disneybounding is let's say that you are doing something with a Little Mermaid. You're going to use things that remind you of the Little Mermaid, not necessarily the actual picture of the Little Mermaid. So it might be like the scales of her tail. It might be something that reminds you of that crab friend of hers. But anyway, I said to Disney because I talk to them all the time. I said to Gracie, I'd love to collaborate with you, but I have no Disneybounding skills, but I liked the Guardians of the Galaxy, and since this baby Groot has been on a lot of television commercials lately, I'll get that out of the way so you can see him better. Since he's been on a lot of television commercials lately, I think people know who this character is. So I wanted to focus on that movie, and for me, this baby Groot in particular. He's made out of wood and tree parts, so anything wood or tree-like around him will work, as well as flowers. He had a flower in his hand, but I cut it out because, you know, I couldn't deal with that. It was too tricky to cut. So what I thought I would do is I would make a background that would be with the look of a tree bark, and I originally thought, oh, maybe I'll do a gatefold, but then I thought, no, I want to do a 3D Groot, so you know how I convince myself I'm not doing the right thing. So the first thing I want to tell you was, when I use any embossing folders on my Vagabond, it really embosses, and I mean squeezes the crap out of paper. So if you ever get your paper crack or have problems with lines or weird folds, put an extra piece of paper in there with it, and that will help absorb that big, I'll call it, crushing effect that my machine does. I'm using a folder from Darice. It's a wood background. It obviously looks like a knot in a piece of tree bark. And I thought that would work well for my background. So this is 5 1/4 inches tall by 4 inches wide, and my card is going to be 5 1/2 inches tall by 4 1/4. So it's 1/4 of an inch bigger than this piece, if you can tell that. If you can't, you will when I start changing the colors. I wanted to make my background more have more color changes to it, so I decided I'm going to use some Distress inks and try to change up my colors that way. So I think I'm going to be using one of or some of these: Fossilized Amber, Gathered Twigs, Ground Espresso, and Hickory Smoke. This one is gray, obviously this one is gold tone, and these are in the brown family. And I thought if you look at baby Groot, you can see that he's got yellowish at the top and a lot of browns in him and a little bit of grays down in here. So I thought, I'm following his color pattern, but I don't want my paper to be so boring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brushes that I made. These are the 1-inch chip brushes that I bought from Harbor Freight Liquidators. Is that what they're called? Yeah. I think that's what they're called. And you buy these, they're called 1-inch chip brushes, and you buy them. I bought a set of 36 for $8, or you can buy one for 69 cents. I thought it was smarter to do the 36 because now I have one for every color family in regular inks, and I have one for every color family in the pigment inks, and then I was able to share it with friends, so it made me happy to do that, and it wasn't that expensive to do, and that made me happy as well. The other thing I did was I printed out in a bunch of different fonts, I am Groot. Now if you watch any of the commercials on television. You don't have to watch the movie. He says, instead of anything else, he just says, I am Groot. So what I was thinking of is that I would say, I am Groot, and then on the inside of the card I would write, I am Groot, and then I would put in parentheses, thinking of you. That was the translation of I am Groot. That's what I thought I would do. I really wasn't sure how to do it, but I did it in a bunch of different fonts to see which one I like the best, and I have several. I'm kind of leaning toward this one because it's bold and I like it. So, but I have the one up at the very top on the first page I think is the same one, so I could use either one. So that's what I'm doing with those. And then I have some paper here that I can use as scrap because I want to make sure that I have something to put my background on so you can see it. I wasn't going to put a background under it, but then I thought, well, you won't even see this brown because my background is brown, so it would all have been a big blur. So back to this, I'm going to start with ground espresso, and I'm just going to brush lightly over my card and hope that it picks some of that up in the lines, just to make my card, just to emphasize the higher and lower areas of my background. Hopefully you can see that. And since I'm doing more than one color, I'm not trying to really use any one color more than the rest, unless I find one that I love. I like this one. I think it's doing a nice job of changing the colors up enough that you can see them. But I really want this to look like a real tree, so a real tree doesn't just have two colors, it has more than that. So we're going to shoot for more than that. And I'm sure Gracie's card is spectacular, and I told her I would just hope I could live up to the way she's doing things, because she is a really great artist, and she's been doing cards for a super long time with her mom, and her mother's name is Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Love her too. Barbara was one of the first people that said this to me, and very few people tell me things like this, but when they do, it really touches my heart. She said, I know if we lived near each other that we'd be good friends. I thought that was so sweet and so thoughtful, just so wonderful. And like I said, when she told me her daughter was starting a channel, I was all for looking into it and playing with it because she's such a sweet lady. I like the way that Fossilized Amber really kind of made things pop a little bit. So now let's go to Gathered Twigs and try them. Remember, you use the same brush for every color family. So every brown, or every version of brown, you use with the same brush. And then, you know, all the yellows, same brush, all the grays, same brush. I think you got the hint. I could explain them all, but what's the point? You understood it after the first one, right? Okay. I like that one, though. I do like the way that yellow really made it pop. Last but not least is our Hickory Smoke. And if I don't like it, I'll just stop playing with it. Now, again, this is gray. It's Gathered Twigs. And I just thought I would kind of go along the creases of this, you know, the circly part. I'm using some big technology here. The circly part of this tree, in case you wanted a real version of that. I was going to say the arborist version, but then I think all of you know I know nothing about trees from what I just said. Weirdly enough, I knew the word arbor. I have issues. Clearly I have issues. I'm loving my tree. It kind of looks like a tree that has had somebody go in and do some distressing on it versus a real tree, but I love it anyway. I'm happy with my tree. There is my tree. I think I might want to let it dry a little bit before I go any further. So I'm going to put that aside, and that's our front. Then I want to take one of my markers, and I want to go around the outside of my little Groot, and I'm not sure what color I want to do that with. Let me dig around in my colors and I'll be right back. I wanted to remind you about this book I made. One of the things that happens when you have a lot of markers, and I have 168 of the Touch 5 markers, you want to color swatch them, and I swatch all of them on the actual marker, but I made this book as well because what I wanted to be able to do is take whatever I'm working with and set it beside this and go, well, which one of these colors works? And in this case, I think this 169 will work at the top, so I pulled it out, and it's called Putty. And then on another page where I have all the browns, I really liked 102. I'll put it beside there so you can see it. It's this one at the top. I liked it, and this really helps me to know if I'm in the right, like if I've picked the right colors for my project. These other ones have almost an orangey color to it, but this one I thought was the right shade. I might be off and have to revert to another color, but I think this system really works when you have a lot of markers. It really came in handy for me. So I just thought I'd tell you about that because it did really come in handy for the 3 or 4 projects I've done since I've had my Touch 5 markers. Oh, and my friend Kay is looking into markers, and she wants to make sure that her markers don't smell a lot. Okay, I'm going to do this in front of you. I have the Chameleon, well, I can't get these, I'll just grab one of them. I'm going to grab all the markers I have, the styles or kinds of markers. Okay, this is a Premier marker that you buy at AC Moore. It's a brand, and Premier by Nicole is the name of it. I'm going to smell all these real fast for you. That one is very strong, and I'm smelling the bigger tip. This is a Spectrum Noir marker. It's equally as strong. Sharpie, we probably know the smell of a Sharpie. The Sharpie isn't as strong in smell as the ones we've smelled so far. Bic Market, the least smell of any of them. This is a Chameleon. Whoops, I picked out the wrong end. That was bright. The Chameleon is not as smelly, but it still has a pretty rough smell to it. And I'm going to do the Touch 5 one more time because the other one's open. Honestly, the Touch 5, I don't smell that. Let me smell the other one just to make sure. I don't smell that. I mean, it's very, very minimal. So of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kinds I smelled, this one has the least smell to it. And there was Sandy's smell test for you. It's highly scientific. Or not. I just wanted to make sure, Kay, that I promised you I would do that, and I had done it before, but I only did it with my Spectrum Noirs and the Touch 5s, and I thought, well, that wasn't really a good test to, Kay's very sensitive to smells, and, I didn't want her to have any kind of real issues with it. Now, I'm going to do the tops of these and just kind of make sure that my Groot has some different color on the sides and around the top. I'm going to go all around the edges so that you can, the edges are not white. If you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. I always appreciate new viewers, and I always love it when people write me notes because I like to talk to new people. And so if you're interested in a channel where somebody does crazy stuff on almost every video, you found the right place. If I don't glue myself to something on this video, it will be a fluke. For those of you who know my channel, you're sitting there going, that's true, she does glue herself to a lot of stuff. Okay, I think he's going to be good for right now. Now I'm going to, one of these I went to Staples and had them photocopy these for me, And one of them I had them do this one. I had them do it a little bit lighter because I wanted the head on this one to be more pronounced, and so it was lighter so that you'd be able to see the difference in there's actual texture. I mean, there's grain in the wood. Grain. Finally, I came up with the word. Yeah, there's grain in the wood on this fella, so you have to make sure that you accentuate that. So that's what I did when I had them photocopy it and make it darker. So the head on this one looks good, and then I need to do, I think, okay. So let me just get to the part of this that I want. Get this out of the way, get this out of the way. Let me get to what my plan is. Okay, so where's the one I did the whole body on? Now I'm lost. This is my one that's the whole body. This is the one that's just the head. So on this one, I'm going to cut him off right on his head like that. So his head is part of that one. Then I'm also going to cut out his legs and make them part of that piece. So I'm going to have to go around that with my, I'm going to do the lighter marker. I think the lighter marker is working better on these because there's so many light and dark areas on these. And since it's light and I can make a mistake and smear across the front of it without any big problem because nobody can see it when I do that boo-boo, which is always a bonus. Okay, so that's his feet. You know, I'm going to get this confused. I don't want that piece because I didn't like his arms on that one. I didn't cut them out really well. Then on the next one, I think I'm going to cut out just his arms. What you're looking for when you do things in a 3D fashion is you're looking for the things that would stick out. So when you think about anything that you're cutting out, you think about what would be the thing that would stick out. Well, their arms would stick out because you're reaching out is what he's doing in this picture, and your legs would stick out from your body, so that's something else that you'd want to have on another layer. Your head obviously sticks out more than your neck does, so his neck is only going to be one layer, and then his head is going to stick out. Then from his head you look at his eyes and his nose because those stick out. If he had ears, which I don't think he does, those would also stick out, so those are more things that you would want to have. So right now I have his arms, his legs, his head. Then let's see, what do I want to do with his eyes? I think what I'm going to do is from this portion of his head, his eyes, nose, or whatever you could call this little indentation, looks like this is what they consider his nose, or I don't know, we'll call it nose. But so these would be on a normal person, these things would all stick out. So we're going to make them another dimension. I gotta get rid of that neck because we don't want his neck. Sorry, buddy. Cutting your neck off. Okay. Then, so I don't want that. I'm going to get really confused about the pieces I don't want. You know how that goes with me. And I'm going to go around his, I'm going to have to turn that one more time. A little spot by his eye that's a little weird. I don't like. Got to get rid of that. That's better. So we'll go around the edges of his head or his eyes and make them so that they don't have any white spots. And the reason you just go around these edges is you don't want them to look like you just stuck them there out of the blue, because the white will make them look like that. If you put a color around the edge that's matching or close to matching, it will highlight them enough to make them stick out more. I could do, if I wanted to do two bodies, two complete heads, bodies, I could do that, but I don't think I want to. I can do another pair of legs if I want to, And we'll just highlight some of these just in case I change my mind. He is going to hold a flower of some kind or something like that I have to figure out what I can do that can be cut out small. He had a very small flower in his hand, and I had to cut that out because it was cumbersome. Okay, ready to glue. Gotta find my lid first. Okay, there's my lid. Now, we're going to get our background. Okay, first off, we're going to be putting this piece down. This is the full body of our little Groot guy. I'm going to put that on dimensionals too, and because I'm so brave, I'm going to be using the foam tape that I hate. I'm only doing this because I need something that's going to be really super strong. Now, here is my first baby Groot. I think I'm going to offset this one because I might want to put a flower that like goes up and around or something. I don't know. I think I'm going to do his legs first. The other thing when you do this is you have to decide, do you want your image to, okay, hopefully you can see this, to go in this direction or in this direction or flat. And I think for the legs we're going to go flat. But sometimes when you do this, you do want to angle your project, like the face will definitely be angling the eyes and things so that they aren't sticking out all over the place. And I'm going to put another piece on here as well, right there. Okay, so this will be his little legs, and you just want to line up. Again, if you've never done this, all you do, make sure you can't see any of your foam tape. That is crucial. So if you have some that you can see, get rid of it. And then when you lay it down, you want to look, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to move it so I can see it. You want to lay it exactly on top of the piece below it. So right now, this piece is raised. Can't see it really well probably, but if I turned it like this, you could see that it's dimensional that way. Okay, then we're going to do his arms, but because it's so thin, you have to be careful not to make it so you can see it. And already I can see more foam right there. Okay, then I think on this one I'm going to put an extra piece of foam, and I'm going to put it at the very top so that it makes it higher at the top of the arm. So his arm is kind of bending down. It doesn't need to be super thick, but you do want to make it so that you can see a difference. Okay, so we're going to lay his arm like that, so that, okay, so now I've got foam tape on the back and the tear tape on the mouth part, and I'm just going to lay it even with his little bottom of his face like that. Hopefully that looks pretty good. Hopefully it looks pretty good. I have a weird little cut here on his chin I want to fix. Okay, there's that. And it's sticking up nice. Now we have, last thing we're doing are his legs. We're going to do the third layer of legs. And the reason I want his legs to stick up more is because his arms stick up, but I think his legs should stick up more than his arms. Okay, last but not least are our legs. We're going to stick those right there. So hopefully you can see that he is nice and three-dimensional, And now what I have to do is go through my flowers and find maybe a bouquet or something that he could hold that will be kind of nifty. And at the same time, I'm going to get my paper trimmer and trim out, there it is, I had it right there the whole time. I'm going to trim out I Am Groot so we can decide where we want to put it on the front of our card. This is a Fiskars guillotine trimmer in case you wanted to know. And these are handy for things that you want to cut kind of fast and spur of the moment. So what I decided I was going to do in order to make my flowers is I colored in this branch. I just took a piece of white cardstock and I just colored it, and I'm going to stick it in his hands and put it that way. So I'm going to just put some foam tape on the back of it. I'm going to put this piece directly where his hands are. Okay, so I put the little branch in that I made, and I'm going to color the flowers. I had this set of stamps and dies from Sizzix, and it's called, I think it's called Words and Tags. I might be making that up, but I think that's what it's called. But the number is 657919 in case you're looking for it. So I stamped the smaller flower. I started with the bigger flower and I didn't like it, so I went to the smaller flower and I stamped it in Daffodil Delight, and then I'm going to go over it again with this Fossilized Amber. And what I did, I played with it and I really liked the effect by streaking across it like that. And then I'll show you. I'm going to have to probably put my head over this to make sure I get this right. Hold on, I got this. Okay, then all I'm going to do is cut out maybe 3 of the ones I really like, because I don't think I need all 5 of them, because I don't have much branch to cover. Alright, so in the end I used the Fossilized Amber as I slid across it, and I used a black marker for the middle. Then I went around the outside edge of each flower with number 33. I did die cut them, which I didn't think I was going to, but in the end I did decide to do that. I made 5 of the flowers and 1 is already missing. So at this point we're just going to, oh, there it is. It's here. Oh, what a relief. So I'm going to take these teeny tiny little foam squares and put them under my flowers, and then I'm going to put the leaf. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to put the leaf on here and make it work. Okay, I've got all of my flowers and the foam backing ready to go, and I put 2 layers of foam backing on these because some of them are going to be laying on the branch that's already 1 layer high, so I didn't really want to have that problem where you know, I had a big bunch of pieces where I didn't want them. Basically, I have 1 piece of foam under this one and it has no leaf, and the reason for that is I thought I would have baby Groot holding that flower like that, so that the whole thing kind of looks decent. And then I have 1 that I'm going to put inside my card, maybe like that, because it'll come out over the edge. Then I have my I Am Groot somewhere because I put it over here. I put a little bit of the brown around the edge of it, and I thought I would just put it like that, but then I don't know, you know, I hate white and it really bugs me, so I might just color it with one of these yellow markers. I know what you're thinking, don't do it, but you know I'm compelled to ruin things, so this is the moment where I'm going to do it, so be prepared, it's coming. I'm just going to make the whole thing this yellow color, and so far it's not too horrible, and it's going to match my flowers, so I don't know, I like it better than, I just don't like white very much, and I don't think I want to pop it up on anything because it's going to be right like that, so let's just find some serious tear tape and lay it on that so that we're sure we've got a good sticky back. And I'm going to put it just off to the edge like that. Hopefully it's straight. It looks pretty straight. I'm kind of digging the flowers though. I don't know if I do or not. I'm just, you know how that goes. So if I put that right there, I think that'll look, makes the whole thing, it kind of centers it. I hope. Okay, now let me get my back, which is right here. And I'm okay with the color of that because now that I've changed, I mean these were the same color originally, but now that I've changed the color of my back, my front, I think it's fine. So I'm going to put just tear tape on the back of this one. We want to put a lot of this on because when you have an embossed background like this one is, you really have to make sure that you put something behind it that's going to hold it down because it's so waffly, we'll call it. Making that word up maybe? I don't know. I think that's a real word. When you have something that's so waffly like this background is, you really have to make sure that you stick your tape on. It can't just be, like I wouldn't put tape runner on this. It would never hold it. You could put wet glue on there, but again, you'd have to put a lot of it to make sure that you get a good adhesion because this is, you know, it has a lot of dimension to it. Oh, almost. See how I do these things? Okay. I like to turn my card this way, and I like to open it and make sure that it is going in the right direction before I lay it down. And I like to make sure that my edges seem like they're all even as possible, and then lay it down. You want to push on it because again you have all that you're looking at. Okay, so he is Groot. Let's hope that that's okay. Now the inside, I have, I need to cut that out because I have a bunch of these I Am Groots, but I wasn't sure which one I wanted to go with, and the one that I did cut out, I already got dirt on. What else is new? So I think I'm going to just go with this one that says I Am Groot in the really big font, and we'll put it on the inside of our card so that in the end our whole card looks cohesive. Okay, when you're doing a banner, all you need to do is you can make a notch in the middle if you like, but you just cut into the middle on both sides, and I wanted to just make sure that it was straight and not too wide for my card because my card base was a little bit scary there for a minute, and I'm just going to put a couple pieces of tear tape on here to hold it in place. I used the flower stamps that I started with and decorated my envelope with it. That looks pretty good. Alright, now all I need to do is stamp the back. Get all this out of the way. I made this for you. And here is the envelope that I made to go with it. The back of it, I just, like as I said, I just stamped those flowers on there. So there's our card and our envelope. I hope you will go over and check out my friend Gracie Harrold's site. It's called Disneybounding. All the information for it will be in the information part below on my video, but I will also have Rich put it big and bold on the screen so that you know how to get there. And I hope you do, because I think Gracie does great work, and if you love Disney, you'll love her site. I hope you enjoyed this and that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe because I am Groot. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.